My name is Geeta Ravishankar, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this webinar where we are going to be talking you through the MBA suite of programs here at the University of Birmingham, Birmingham Business School. So I'm the Director of MBA programs, and I look after the entire suite of the MBA programs that we offer here at the Business School. I'm based in the management department and my background is in financial economics. I'm joined today by my colleagues and also one of our students from our full-time MBA program. So I'm going to hand over to them to introduce themselves, starting with Christina.
Hello, everybody. I'm Christina Sambrook. I'm currently the head of recruitment and student mobility. And mobility doesn't involve yoga. It involves transfers between different campuses with students. I used to be program director for the suite of programs, so I have a little bit more knowledge than just as a lecturer, but I do lead the, we have a module in Barcelona where we take the students for a week, which is called Global Marketing Consultancy. So I'll be talking to you about what we called Immersive module, so where the students go in international adventures for a week, whether it's Dubai, Mexico, Barcelona, or Singapore.
Thanks, Christina. Lorita?
Hi, everyone. So I'm Lorita. I'm full-time student. So I'll be graduating later this year. Yes, I'll be talking a little bit more about the elective module in Mexico and what experience we had. And if you've got any other questions relating to me, then yeah, please do ask later on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm now going to pull our host back in. So I think he's going to be moderating our panel discussion. There we go.
Thank you, Geeta. Thank you very much. So it's great to obviously not only have academics here, but obviously have a student on board as well. Lorita, if I can begin with you, and apologies to the academics to begin with, but
Sure.
It's great to hear from a student. What's your experience been like? You mentioned you're graduating in the summer, although that's creeping up very quickly. I'm sure it's gone very quickly as well. Was it what you expected when you first joined, and what attracted you to the business school to begin with?
Yes, it was what I was expecting, actually. I think maybe some of the other my colleagues didn't expect it to be so intense, which was very intense, hence the reason it's only a 12 months program. So my natural choice for university was I live only half an hour away from university, and I just wanted to find the best MBA program within a hour's reach from my home, basically. And so the Birmingham University was a natural choice. So I decided to take a year out of my life to dedicate for my sort of self-growth and education. So here I am. So yeah, I'll be graduating later this year. So our final dissertation submission date is September. So still got another 4 months to go. But yeah, the main reason was for Birmingham University. Like I said, it had to be the best program within an hour's commute, and there were quite a few options, but the Birmingham seemed to be like the best for me. And you know, I'm glad that I did that choice. Yeah, really been enjoying it.
Of course, and one of the things with Birmingham as a whole is the location. Obviously, strategically, from a careers perspective, it's great. Just keeping with you, Lorita, for the time being, how important is that as well when it comes to you graduating and the next steps in your career?
The campus itself, oh, it's amazing. So I think we are very lucky as students to have such amazing campus where our MBA program is. So we are based in a building where second floor is literally dedicated for the MBA program. So we're very spoiled. We've got our own meeting rooms, so our own sort of like basically luxurious floor. But also, I think it's important that it is located quite central in Birmingham, quite close proximity to a lot of big companies, big offices. So that kind of, I think, plays a big part, you know, for the students' life rather than being somewhere a little bit more remote. I'm not sure whether that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I think, look, there's a lot of students that will join for various reasons, but careers is such an important choice. You know, there's a lot of universities that offer MBAs, and whether it be MBA related courses, MSCs, whatever it might be. But to be in the heart of Birmingham, like you mentioned, with so many huge companies around, must be Mega. Geeta, if I can just come back to you at this point and just talk about the students that do come and enroll at the university. I'm guessing it's a large cohort of international students that do join. Obviously, we're hearing from Larita, which is an hour commute for her, which is great. But there will be students that travel from all over the world to come and study this on campus. How important is it to remember that you can live an hour away and not in central Birmingham?
The treat about the portfolio is that it caters not just to students who are local. So if, as Larita said, if you are very local, you're welcome to come on campus, but we also have students who reach us, from a much farther location. Our programs are full-time, so they're based here on the campus. We have online offerings. So if you think about the student cohort in full, we've got quite a global cohort of students, quite an international cohort of students. And I think that's one of the strengths of the portfolio. You can, if being on a campus, being in the institution area here in Birmingham is something you want to experience, it's something you want to enjoy, you've got the full-time MBA Edgbaston campus as your option. If you're looking for a bit of flexibility, you perhaps don't want to travel too far, then you could do it through an online version. If you're located in one of our other locations in Singapore or in Dubai, students in those campuses can also get the Birmingham experience because we offer our MBA programs in those locations as well. And those are offered with a blended perspective. So you do some of your stuff online and some of it you do it, coming onto campus. So you can meet your other students in person. So I think we have quite a different range of options for students that allows them to pick the option that's most useful, that's most convenient for them. The final point on this one is, regardless of which option the students take, they all get the opportunity, they're all invited to come to the Edgbaston campus as part of our MBA symposium. Because if you're here on campus, you get to experience it every day. But if you're located in Singapore or you're located in Dubai, if you're an online student, it's a little bit more tricky, it's a little bit more difficult perhaps. But we run an MBA symposium, that's an annual event. It's open to all of our MBA students. They get to come on campus, so they meet other MBA students from across the suite. They get to see the beautiful campus. They get to experience workshops and keynote speeches. So again, no matter where you're located, we're always trying to bring our students together to give them the University of Birmingham experience.
Excellent. I think that's great. I think there's so many universities, loads of universities now offer campuses in different countries. So to add that extra element, a personal element to it is great. Christina, if I can just come to you quickly on a class level, because there'll be lots of people that are watching that their preferred mode of study will be large class sizes. There will be other people that have more personal, would perhaps like a smaller class size. What do they look like from within your program?
Depends what modules they take. If you
Right.
have the core modules, then you're with everybody. But bearing in mind that we also have mobility between campuses. Okay, so everybody that joins the program has the opportunity of taking 3 modules on a different delivery. So that means you might have people from Singapore or from Dubai joining an elective that I teach on the full time. So you will see, or people who are exclusively online. They do want to have, as Geeta was saying, that kind of sort of campus experience. And not only they come for the symposium, but they also can join the modules that we provide on other campuses. Talking about campus though, I know I'm talking here to, I could see on the chat people from all over the world. For those of you who haven't been to the UK, okay, I'm Romanian, so international student. I was an international student in the US, in the UK, whatever. When you step on the campus in Birmingham, it feels very safe. Okay, now we talk about security, safety, God knows where the world is going, but we have it feels like a mini city in the city. And it's really warm. I don't know how many of you traveled to London and saw that nobody looks at you and everybody's minding their own business. This still has that sort of warmth and connection with people, which is, it's specific of sort of, I guess, not capital cities, but it's still big. Well, it's the second biggest city with all of the sort of job opportunities, but that's sort of more heart to it, I would say. So as an international student, you do want to feel feel that, or at least I did when
Yeah.
I came to the UK.
And presumably that's quite a homely feel as well. I think it is important. What you said was absolutely spot on about London. You go there, nobody looks up, and it can be quite difficult, even though everyone, you know, is very busy and it's fine. It's a very welcoming place. I've been to Edgbaston in Birmingham before, and I totally agree with you. Different diverse nationalities, cultures. It's fantastic, and everyone seems so friendly with it being such a big city. But is that important when it comes to postgraduate living? Because they're at a different stage of their life, aren't they? You know, it's not going to be perhaps an undergrad level where they're out every night of the week or whatever it might be. It's more important to talk about location and, you know, the people that you're living around, isn't it?
I believe so. You know, you want to come and feel part of the environment. You want to come and create networks. You want people to be willing to create a network with you. So we are selecting, I guess, students that very much embody the kind of values that we have. And we do think that community is important.
Excellent. Okay. Geeta, if I can just come back to you for a second. There are a lot of people understandably asking about funding related questions, and those that are watching, apologies, we won't go into too much detail about funding because it is so bespoke depending on what course or program you are applying for. So to find out more information, we'll pop a link into the chat later. But I do want to talk about the different programs that are available, but the English language requirement that is there, because there's people that say I work in an English speaking office, or I did English 10 years ago perhaps, and at a different stage of their life. What is it that you're looking for, and how important is it that their English is up to speed, not only for the program but for their career potentially post graduation?
Oh, that's a great question. So I mean, in terms of the technical details about what your English language requirements we're looking for, I think you'll find that on the website. I'm assuming your question is more about, you know, being in a classroom setting and engaging with content. It's absolutely critical. I mean, at a very baseline, we teach in English, and you're doing business. I mean, English is the language of business. But it's not just about being able to craft a nice sentence or to be able to meet the grammatical requirements. You have to think fast. You know, we're dealing with a very uncertain business environment in today's world. You're going to have to apply all these complex theories and knowledge that you're learning in your classroom setting to deal with real world business problems, oftentimes in pressure situations, pressurized circumstances. So your ability to absorb that information, to quickly analyze it, and to then communicate back in a clear, in a concise manner that's tailored to the audience that you're dealing with, whether that's, you know, your fellow business colleagues, whether that's to a press audience, whether that's to the lay community, that's a different skill level. That's a different skill set. And for that, your fluency with English is quite demanding. And hence, I would say it's absolutely critical that you have that ability to respond quickly, reflexively in that language. I think yours was a double barrel question. I do very badly with double barrel questions, I confess.
Apologies, it was, yes. So obviously the question was, obviously you've answered the first part of it, but the second part of it is from an academic level, because there will be people that will want to apply that don't have perhaps the IELTS requirements or TOEFL requirements in order to apply. Is there anything that you would also offer to get their language requirements up to speed you know, going on the course?
So we offer various support activities through the Birmingham International Academy, which runs support sessions alongside the program, and that kicks off right from the program start in September on the full-time MBA program. So that's one route to help students become more fluent with academic writing, which is slightly different from what perhaps you're used to in a more corporate setting. Apart from that, there's a range of additional support services that's available through our library as well, which again can help students who are looking for that additional help. You know, you get a lot of support in your classroom, you get this additional help on the full-time through the BIA, but if you're a distance learning student, how do you get the help? Well, we have the library resources, which can come in and help you understand what your tutors are looking for when they set you an assignment, how you can communicate in an academically robust manner in the kind of language that we're expecting our students to use.
Excellent. Lorita, if I can come to you at this point, one of the biggest areas of growth over the last 10 years, and it's always a popular theme now, is the amount of women in MBAs,
Mm.
which is great. And it's so important for the future of to business and to everything that goes around that. What is your journey in terms of, yes, you told me a little bit earlier about you're an hour commute away. What made you study an MBA? What made you take this path?
Yeah, so I'm actually half an hour away, but my
Half an
distance
hour away,
allowance
apologies.
was an hour. Um, so yes, it was basically I was running my own businesses for past 10 years, and I just felt like I outgrown my role, so I needed sort of have that real growth, and I just felt like MBA was the natural sort of way of doing it. And I remember when I was coming to the postgraduate open day, and I was told that it'll change the way you think, and that's the most important thing about MBA. Um, and it really has. I can see the progress I have done, sort of like in a way of thinking, in a way you're addressing the problems, in a way you're almost seeing the world. It's very different. You're mentioning about the women. So I would say it's 40, 60%. So 40% women, 60% men. And I think it is quite encouraging to, or quite good to encourage women to do go for MBA courses, because I think it's very valuable in a classroom to have that diversity, not just with gender, but also with nationalities. Like Geeta mentioned, we have got, you know, very international cohort. In fact, I'm the only one that's sort of local. Everyone else is from all over the world. And it makes the quality of the learning so much better when you've got very different points of view from all over the world. So diversity is hugely important in our cohort, and we really had, at least this year, we really had a good diversity.
And Geeta, I imagine that provides a superb alumni offering as well because of that.
Oh, it absolutely does. Just to pick up and to reiterate really what Lorita was saying, I think the fact that we have such a diverse population in the MBA cohorts, it's very interesting because you get multiple perspectives. It's very easy for us to come at a particular problem from our own habitat, from our own ways of thinking. And I think the fact that we've got a diverse group of students across our program shows that you learn from each other. You learn about cultural sensitivities, different perspectives and experiences, which is absolutely critical. And I've lost track of my question again. I'm so sorry. I kind of find these interesting tidbits and I go off over there. But you were asking me about.
Sorry, I was specifically asking about alumni and how important that is to not only the university, but MBA within women as well. Women within MBA, sorry.
Yeah. So we have a strong alumni team who, who coordinate and set up various alumni engagement activities, not just here in Birmingham, but across the world, because we have quite an international cohort of alumni. So there are various activities that take place in, for example, in China, it could happen in India, all tailored to bring together our students from that part of the world to kind of help them reconnect, as it were. While students are here as part of the MBA program, the alumni team are involved whenever students do, for example, trips. The full-time MBA students recently did a trip to Citibank, where again, they got the chance to interact with alumni from UOB who are currently based in Citibank. So we're always looking at our current cohort of students, knowing that we want to be in touch with them going forward. And we are in touch with other students who's graduated previously. Because again, it's all about building that sense of shared community. We are all part of the UOB Birmingham Business School family. And it's about helping our students connect so they can learn from each other, not just in a classroom setting, but to maintain those connections going forward as well.
Excellent. And just while we're keeping on, I'm going to read this question as it's been written. They said they wanted to know about the internship which MBA students can get after the course. We got a bank manager in India. Can they get their internship in the banking industry in any other city, or has it got to be Birmingham?
So you'll be working quite closely with our careers and employability team, who will be able to guide students around that internship process, including the visa requirements, because for international students who want to stay on once a program of study ends and they want to do an internship, there are implications there as well. So the career services team can help them best with that. I mean, if you do an MBA and your heart is in the financial services industry, then I would expect you to really look for internship opportunities in that sector. So it can be in any sector, obviously one that's going to be more related to whatever specialism our students want to undertake.
So just go on, Christina.
If I may just add, I know lots of people ask about internships, opportunities, and very, very much agree with what Geeta said. But I always encourage students as soon as they join us to start that process in September. We have career fairs. The business school has separate career fairs to the university. University has 4 of them. We have 2 extras. So 6 times a year, you're going to meet potential future employers.
Yeah.
Many times the students leave it until March, April, when they think I'm going to have a bit more time because now I'm dealing with my dissertation, to then contact potential employers or potential, to apply for internships. It's too late. I would say get your applications going, and we provide huge support to students, one-to-one consultation with our careers team to apply for those job opportunities. Fail at a few, but fail in September, November, December, rather than April. By April, you'll be an expert at what to answer in interviews. So there are opportunities, there are internships, but the good rewards come to those who are proactive and put in the efforts early on.
Just keeping on that theme as well, Christina, and Geeta, please come in if it does relate to you at all. There's so many students that, whether it be graduation, post-career, or post-graduation, whatever it might be, that do struggle. And it's difficult, when you've graduated and you haven't got an internship or you haven't got a job straight away, and you can perhaps panic. We've perhaps all been in that situation. What kind of hand-holding operation is there post-graduation from the university to ensure that you do help out as much as possible? Because that's got to be really important, hasn't it? Geeta, if I can call you.
Okay. I'm going to echo what Christina just said. It's not about leaving it right until the very end of your program to start jumping on trying to apply for internships and opportunities like that. Pretty much from day one, you're going to have to keep your eye on this. You're going to have to keep applying. So that's the first bit of advice. The second is persistency. You will get knockbacks, as Christina has already mentioned. So it's important to stay persistent with your applications. Throughout, not just the time that you are with us as a student as part of the MBA, but even post-graduation, you can still access our career services. So you can still meet with our career services team, and if there's a particular area perhaps you're struggling with, perhaps it's the assessment centers, perhaps it's getting your application to communicate clearly what your skills are that you've gained, our career services team will be able to help you with those requirements. So it's not that you finish, 31st of August, you finish your program, bang, goodbye, that's it, you're on your own. No, you can still talk to us and we will still be able to help you through the career services team with your efforts in securing a job. Excellent.
Go on, Christina.
If I may just add, I don't know whether we are the only one, because obviously I don't know the entire world, but we are one of the very few that offers lifetime career support. So when you're going to be 60 and AI will get all our jobs, you still can come back and get help on how to apply when you're 60. But again, so linking it a little bit with the alumni network, and again, sort of, I am a leadership consultant, so I hear a lot of stories about people sort of struggling to get work. Don't apply together with thousands of other people for a job. Recruiters don't recruit the way that people apply for jobs. You go on a LinkedIn job and you apply there. You shouldn't get at the point of where you have to apply to an advertised job. Through networks, get to hear first when career opportunities arise in companies. And then you won't have this problem of being one of thousands applying for the jobs. So networking, proactivity, getting to sort of know who the big players are and how you get to them right at the beginning, that's more of a key to success than just the general, the world is changing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it goes back to the whole networking aspect. Again, don't leave it too late. old age fat people by people ultimately, and don't just be a number, be someone that is remembered.
Yeah.
So let's keep on. I think there was a really key point which I'm going to touch upon in a moment in AI. But to begin with, there is a question in here, and perhaps Larita, you might be able to answer this a little bit. It's how does the university support international students in adapting to a culturally diverse classroom, especially for someone coming from a Pakistani academic and business background? Now, forgetting the specific of the nationality there, you mentioned earlier about the whole diverse nature of the classroom, so many different nationalities, cultures, and that makes the learning perhaps even better. Is that right?
It is, yes, definitely. So I think the way we are taught, it's not sort of like this is how things are done in UK. It's very sort of a global view on things, and I think a lot of our modules actually called like a global perspective on responsible business. We've got modules in international business, which is a pathway that I chose. So the way modules are taught, it's very much covering any part of the world. And also because we're in the classroom, we're actually learning from each other. So it's quite often there's a lot of discussions because our cohorts are relatively small compared to maybe some other universities. So we're learning a lot from each other. We are brainstorming, we are debating, sometimes we are disagreeing, but even a disagreement kind of then makes you think from different point of view. So I don't think it really matters from which part of the world you are, what your background is. It just kind of adds a little bit more of a diversity into the group. So and to be honest with you, a lot of our students are from sort of like India, Pakistan, and all those kind of parts of the world. So I think it's irrelevant where you're coming from. The teaching methods are very global and very universal.
Excellent. We mentioned it just a moment ago, artificial intelligence, Geeta.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about how important it is at the application stage, because it's such a popular course and program, MBAs, and there's no getting away that artificial intelligence is part of our lives. Christina mentioned that by the time we're all 60, it's going to be taking all of our jobs, and we'll be coming back. But ultimately, we still need people to operate the artificial intelligence. So there is a happy medium in there somewhere. How important is it when a student is applying and, sending through their CV, resume, personal statement, they are true to who they are and not a robot?
Critical. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, when you're putting your application together, when I'm looking at an application, I've looked at many applications in the past, I'm trying to get a sense of who the person is behind the application. I want to know in the person's own voice, what have you done? What have you experienced? Can you communicate that to me in an engaging, articulate, relevant manner? If you simply throw stuff into AI and you generate, a tranche of paragraphs, it might be very articulate, but it's not authentic to the person behind the words. And that is a severe disadvantage. Artificial intelligence is here to stay, but you've got to know how to leverage it in a sensible manner. If you're going to outsource all of your activities to artificial intelligence, I think that's a very dangerous path. If you want to use it to maybe understand a structure, but then put it into your own voice, read through it, understand where can I bring forward my experiences, what I've learned, how I see where this particular program is going to help me in my future career path. I think that you cannot replicate through AI. And it is amazing how when you read a piece of work, you can tell when a human being has worked on it or whether it's just been churned out through AI. So I think you have to have your own voice coming through in your application. If you outsource it entirely to AI, you're going to be putting yourself at a severe disadvantage because it does come through.
Excellent. And I saw we went to an event recently, and one of the mottos they used was use AI as a guide, not as an excuse.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, if you don't get enrolled onto the course you want to, there's always a reason why. And if it's because you didn't use it to help you rather than just using it as a tool to do it for you, then that's why. So it's important, but it's also important to keep in the back of the mind as well.
Can I just add it also from the students' point of view, what we've learned as well, because I think in the first semester it was sort of like a very a gray area to what extent we can use AI and not. But I think what I figured out, and I think majority of our students as well, is that AI will get you so far. So if you are relying, whether that's making assignments or application or anything like that on AI, it only can get you so far. You will hit the brick wall at some point when you realize that you haven't put your critical thinking, your own thoughts and your own work. So yes, it might seem like at first, oh yeah, this is easy, you know, you just throw it in ChatGPT, and you know, it's a great tool to use, and I use it a lot for learning, for researching, or maybe trying to understand something. But to rely it fully on doing your work, it will get you only so far. Once you get to that critical point, you'll be lost, and you don't want to get to the point where, you know, you're completely lost without it.
And
it's
if I
also
can
value for money, isn't it, as well? Sorry, Geeta, just really quickly, it's value for money as well. You know, students are paying a lot of money for this, and you know, you've got to understand that you're there to learn and educate yourself. And I just feel that if you're using AI to literally, you know, enhance your studies and, you know, apply for programs and courses, you're not being true to yourself, because the whole reason you're in this position is because you want to enhance your education, your studies, and your career. Isn't that right, Geeta?
That's exactly what I was going to say. And the way I think of this is, you know, using it might get you in the room, but how long you stick around in that room is down to you. And that might not be for long if you entirely relied on AI. You need to have the learning, you need to have the skill set, you need to have this critical thinking abilities. That is not something that AI will be able to replicate for you. And I don't think you should even want it to, because we talked a little while back about cohort diversity, and I mentioned how having a diverse cohort means you bring your own experiences and perspectives. Our experiences and perspectives are unique to us. You know, if you throw things into generative AI, you're going to get a fairly bland, fairly, you know, dry piece of work. There's no you in it. Why would you want to give up on your ideas, on your way of looking at the world? That's quite valuable. So yeah, I think use it wisely, but don't rely on it entirely.
Go on, Christina.
And if I may add, there's somebody there advertising perfect grades. There's no such thing as perfect grades, especially when not done by somebody else. So
I totally agree with you.
Do not
totally
pay
agree.
because that's a waste of money.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. If anyone's ever found the perfect grade, perfect career, perfect anything, let me know the magic button, because you'll be a very rich person and everyone will follow that path. Geeta, if I can come back to you on the courses, one of the questions asked in the Q&A was, can they study an agriculture course? And I think one of the biggest changes in MBA in business recently has been how much it's opened up and how broad the courses now are. You know, you can go to certain universities and study, you know, agriculture MBA, or you can go and study textiles MBA if you wanted to. How important is that it doesn't have to just be business MBA anymore, and that's it? There's so many sub branches to it, isn't there?
I think it's quite interesting and quite useful. The way I look at this is, I mean, ultimately, what is it that an MBA does? It gives you a clear strategic way of dealing with business problems, right? And it also helps you develop your network. Those are the two pretty important elements of doing an MBA. Now, the context, however, can be varied. You might be facing problems of a business nature in the agricultural field. You might be facing it in the financial services field. You might be facing it in the technology sector. So we hear often of STEM MBAs as well. The bottom line is you need to have some core basic management and strategic thinking skills, which is what an MBA will provide you with. You can then contextualize it. You can layer on these additional contexts where you're taking those skill sets into different domains, like in agricultural economics, perhaps, or into technology. And you can see how this skill is going to help you deal with problems that tend to arise much more in that domain. But ultimately, it is the same skill set at the end of the day. So while I think tailoring an MBA is fantastic, if you know specifically, I want to spend my career in this business, then that might be something that's quite appealing to you, to have an MBA with a specialism directly in that area. If you are pivoting into a different area of business, then you might want something completely different, maybe not perhaps in agriculture, but perhaps in the financial services sector. So having a range of specialisms, I think, is quite useful, because, you know, variety is, I would never diss having the option to do other business subjects, but the core is the same.
Yeah, Larita, can I come to you at that point? Obviously, you mentioned that you've got 10 years experience behind you in the business field. What was the theme within the business? Was it just business related, or what was it that you did?
Yeah, so I was hoping to go more into consulting roles, so rather than being self-employed. So that's kind of like a natural course to go for MBA. But just adding to what Geeta was saying, I think the background, for what background you have before you go to MBA, it's almost irrelevant because it's about the leadership. So MBA is basically preparing future leaders, and you can be leader in completely in any industry, in any sector. So majority of our students are engineers. We've got somebody from who is a geologist, scientist, and we have got some people that have studied law, psychology. So it's about you grow as a person and become a leader regardless of what sector you are. Somebody was mentioning about the agriculture. You need the leaders as well within that sector, and that's what MBA is there for, to make you that sort of like a person who leads whatever the industry you are. So yeah, for me, obviously, it was naturally business. I was doing an undergraduate in a business as well. So that was kind of a natural course, but I think the background could be literally anything. And I think the way program is also built, that it suits for any industry. So it's not very sort of like, for example, if you got with the financial management subject, it's not very number based. It's more about how to understand the finances of the company and how to oversee it rather than drilling into the numbers. And I think that's the beauty of MBA course, is that it's very kind of generalized, that it suits any background.
Absolutely. Christina, would you like to add to that?
Yeah. So we have the pathways, which are a sort of specialization. But for example, I wouldn't, again, with where this world is going, you need to have more facets to your sort of knowledge. However, so for example, we have the international business. If you take particular modules, you get with marketing. But at the same time, you can tell us, yes, I will take marketing modules because I'm really interested in marketing, but please don't write on my diploma with marketing because I want to have more options in the future. So there's quite a good mix and match of modules that people can take if they do want the specialization without actually being called that, again, for being able to open more doors in the future.
Yeah, and Geeta, presumably that's important to know up front, isn't it? So, at this stage, I think we should just quickly talk about the application stage, how long it takes, and when they should start applying. Go back to Christina's point, why wait? Start early as you can, because it gives you as much time as possible. But I'm going to do a double barrel question again. Apologies.
I'm going to make notes.
But to begin with, students, when they're applying, what do they really need to know? What should they have in front of them before they go, right, I want to apply there? And secondly, how long does that process take before enrolling to actually getting a position in the business school?
So when you're doing your application, you are, as part of it, going to give a statement about what I think are the absolute critical elements over here. First of all, we talked about this in the context of AI, but who are you? In a very blunt words, what is your background? What is your experience? Have you done international work? What do you have an international profile? So where have you been, basically? Now, why has that journey made you think, I want to do an MBA? So what additional value do you think an MBA is going to give you? And then specifically, why the Birmingham Business School MBA? What is it about the program that you think speaks to you, and speaks to you strongly, so that you think, if I do this, this is going to help me move forward in my career? And then tell us about your career plans. Are you planning to pivot? Are you planning to move into a different area of operations? Larita mentioned one of our students who's a geological scientist, now looking to move into a different type of work in business. So, what is your motivation? I mean, at its heart, that's what I want to see in an application. I mean, we've got all the other technical requirements, like the English language skills and your references and all of that. But really, when you're putting your application together and explaining what sparked your interest in an MBA, those are the elements I want to know. Who are you? Why do you want to do an MBA? And why do you want to specifically do it here at Birmingham Business School? And how is this going to help you going forward? So yeah, and in sort of thinking about lead-in times to put in your applications, we have various different intakes depending on which version of the program you're going for. So for example, the full-time version starts in September. It's one intake. If you're looking at the program online, you've got more than one intake spread across the year. So really, you've got to determine what's going to be the best way for you to do this program that speaks to you. And then when you're thinking about your application, this is not something that you can, jam out in a week. So you've got to really think through this. I would say it's a good few months at least, if not 6 months or longer in the making, because you're thinking it's a huge commitment. It's a commitment of your time. It's a commitment of your financial resources. If you're a full-time student, that's a significantly intense 12-month period. Are you going to be able to dedicate the time to that program? If it's any of our part-time programs, you are studying alongside holding down your job. Again, is that going to be something you can actually seriously commit and devote time to? See, there's a lot of things that you have to think through, plan, perhaps make sure you're getting to the point in your career, in your home life, in your personal circumstance that means you're ready for this step. So I think you start off with that little germ of an idea. I'd like to do an MBA. Then you go off and you do the little research, and then you have to think, well, where am I in my life? Is this the right time for me to do the MBA? And then you make the jump, and then you think, right, I'm going to put the application together. And that's, as I said, not something you can bang out in a week because it's quite detailed. You've got to convince somebody who's never met you, that this is something you are passionately dedicated to pursuing. And if you're doing it through ChatGPT, that won't get you anywhere. So it's actually quite a time-involved process. The final point here is, so the deadlines for applications are all on the MBA program website, but equally, if you're an international student, and a lot of our students are, and you're planning to come onto the campus, do the full-time MBA, for example, here, there are visa issues. So as an international student, you've also got to think about, I need to get the application in early because, all going well, I'm going to get accepted, and then I have to sort out my visa situation. So I think it's a long drawn process that starts, much as early as possible, the better it is.
Yeah, and at this stage now, we're looking at September start dates. Is that correct? Towards the end of the year? Are there any other enrollment dates, or is it predominantly September for most of the MBA courses?
So it will depend on which version of the MBA you're going for. If you're looking for the full-time MBA program, then yes, it's September is your next intake point. In the Singapore MBA, we've got a June intake, so that's coming up in just a couple of months' time. Our executive MBA program has currently a start date again in September. And then in July, we'd have an intake for the online MBA. So it really depends on which version of the MBA you're interested in. Excellent.
And Christina, if I can just give you, it's been a few minutes since we heard from you, so I'm just conscious before we wrap up. Talk to me more about the different opportunities available, because we heard from the different campuses from Geeta earlier, whether you're in Singapore, I think you mentioned, or whether you're in Dubai, wherever it might be. How important is that? And can students presumably pick and choose where they go depending on the program, or is it entirely dependent on what program you study?
So obviously the full-time students have to do it full-time, and also there are visa issues there. But if somebody joins, so we have Singapore, we have Dubai, we have online. I can see somebody here saying, I really want the online MBA. Great. But then, as I said, you can join 3 modules somewhere else. So you might want to do one on the exec MBA, one in Singapore, and one in Dubai. So then you experience all 3 campuses. Since I'm here because of the module lead for global marketing consultancy, so I take the students for a week. That's the only consultancy one. So it's a program where we have a local company. Each year it's different, and the students join, as I said, for a week. Obviously we also have some fun and some dinners, but they work on the project for that local company on internationalization. So generally it's a requirement to say each group presents how that company internationalizes in, and they choose a country with the plans on how they do it. They are assessed later on, so they're not assessed on exclusively that work for the week, but it's a good immersive experience as how you feel as an international consultant. We also have specialized immersive ones. One is in Mexico, doing business in Mexico. So essentially anybody that's interested in dealing with sort of Latin America, they understand a bit more about Mexico. We have another one called Doing Business in the Middle East, Energy Transition and Post-Oil Economies. Bit of a mouthful, but it's essentially Dubai-based, where they understand the Middle East. And then there's another one in Singapore, understanding the Southeast Asia economies. Now, you can't go on all four of them, because we also, so the fees are paid and the accommodation is paid. Singapore, Dubai, and Mexico are very much sort of lectures, guest speakers, visits to companies. The Barcelona one is consultancy, but we cover quite a lot of that. So the students then need to get visas and flights. And
I think it just goes to show the flexibility with the different nationalities, cultures, cities that we've heard over the last 2 minutes. Just goes to show, doesn't matter where you're from, that there's something for everyone. Larita, if I can just give you the final word before we wrap up, because I think we've heard over the last 45, 50 minutes, quite a lot of serious conversations, which is great. How important is it to yourself, and do you see within campus that you embrace it and you enjoy it? Because ultimately, if you're an international student coming from abroad, you've got to embrace it, haven't you? You've got to have a good time while you're here also.
You do. If you don't enjoy it, it's going to be painful because it's so intense and you're so observed in it and sort of like, you know, because the schedules can be, especially in the first semester, it was 9 till 6 every day almost. Fridays normally are more flexible. And you do enjoy it. There is so many opportunities to do enjoy it. We have got so many things on a campus. We've got our own bars. We've got our own restaurants, cafes there. We as a cohort do loads of other stuff. We do quiz nights, we do, you know, house parties, we do everything. It's like, you know, we became one big family, and it is enjoyable. Also, we do a lot of group works. So there is this sort of like a sense of group, of a little bit of competition, you know, who's going to do better. So it does completely takes over your life. So I've got 2 kids and family and still a little bit of a business running in background. It's completely been sort of neglected. Luckily, my family is very understanding, but I enjoyed it so much. And like I said, if I wouldn't have enjoyed it, it would have been pretty hard work. But it hasn't, and I'm actually a little bit gutted that our lectures are over. So yeah, it's been absolute blast, definitely.
Superb. And I think that's important to point out as well. You know, you've got a family, young family. So the flexibility, you know, it used to be very rigid, 25 to 30 years of age, no children. You know, we're going 25, 30 years ago now, where you had to be that stereotypical person to enroll on an MBA anywhere around the world. Now the flexibility is there. You can have children, you can, you know, you can study online. There's so many different opportunities. Larita, thank you very much. Best of luck in the final few weeks in your studies. Good luck, and good luck with the graduation also. Christina and Geeta, thank you for your time also. If anyone has any questions at all related to this, there will be a link heading out to your emails. Please keep an eye for any communication from the University of Birmingham Business or MBA. This will be on demand, so if you've got any questions at all, you're not sure about anything, please rewatch it. It'll be on postgrad.com, and I'm sure Geeta and Christina's details will be in the email also if you wish to reach out to them personally. But for now, thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Larita, Christina and Geeta, huge thank you. See you soon.
Thank you very much.